Welcome to the latest episode of Real Talk. Today I, along with frequent Claw's Corner guest and friend, James B. Jones from the hit show Love on the Spectrum, celebrate our It's Never Too Late for a Christmas special. We discuss our favorite Christmas movies and specials, such as the 1966 How the Grinch Stole Christmas, our favorite Rankin Bass specials, the Home Alone movies, which version of the Christmas Carol is the best, and much, much more. Of course, with this being Real Talk, you know I have to address some of my favorite Christmas horror movies, such as Silent Night, Deadly Night series, the original 1974 classic Black Christmas, as well as some newer Christmas classics such as Terrifier 3. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this better late than never Real Talk Christmas special with Rich and James. James, how the hell are you? Merry Christmas.
I am doing very well to you, Richard. A merry belated Christmas to you. Did you do anything special on Christmas?
Not on Christmas Day. On Christmas week, I had a vacation, and I went to go visit my family, which live in Cape Cod. My parents live in Cape Cod. My brother lives in Texas, so I picked him up at Logan Airport in Boston. I haven't seen him or my parents in about a year, so it was really great talking to them and hanging out with them. And then over the Christmas Day, I got to spend time with my girlfriend, which was fun. So the only issue with is, if maybe you can notice or some of my fans can notice, I'm stuffed up. So I had some kind of flu, which I'm getting over now, but the show must go on. So how about you? How was your Christmas?
Oh, excellent. I simply stayed home with my parents. Nothing much happened. My brother and his wife stayed home. I didn't do much. Just stayed home. My parents opened my gifts and presents, but I went out for a walk on a hiking trail nearby. Yes, at one point, so that wasn't too bad. But yes, nothing. It was a very, very quiet, relaxing day, thankfully.
It's just the way I like it. And I love hiking. And it's funny because we live in the same area. I live in Connecticut. You live in the Massachusetts area. Yes. So we have like the similar weather. It got really, really cold around Christmas time, and now it's back up to 50 degrees out. So
yes, I know. That's horrible. It should not. This weather would be just fine in, say, April, May, June, or July, etc. But no, it should not be this warm in December. Absolutely not.
And I think that could be part of the reason why I'm all stuffed up right now.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So it's climate change. We probably shouldn't be talking about that too much, but yes, I just really, really hope. Yeah, I just hope it doesn't get any worse than it already is.
Oh, yeah. Well, just to let you know, I know that shouldn't be a hot topic with some people because climate change is real, and I'm saying this, not you, James, and it definitely needs to be addressed. Maybe not in this show, but
no, yeah, we don't want to talk about that here, but it's everyone's problem, so.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know, one thing I'm not sure if we could talk about. Congratulations, I did hear that you're picked up for another season of Love on the Spectrum, so congratulations on that.
Yes, of course you're welcome. Yes, that has been publicly announced, but, okay, so I gotta be careful how much I reveal. I actually don't know too much myself, but whether or not they bring back any previous cast members or wish to have a cast entirely composed of new members, they've not revealed yet. So I guess I can always ask the producers about that if they know anything about that, but I don't know. But yes, it's always a good thing, and of course, obviously, I'm hoping for at least some new casters. I mean, it's great that I'm very pleased that they invited me back for the second season, but of course, I'm also pleased they had new cast members as well. So, yes. So, but yes, we'll have to wait and see what happens. As I said, I don't know too much myself, but even what I do know, I have to be very careful. I can't talk about it yet because the third season hasn't premiered yet. Actually, no. The producers do have an idea of when the third season shall premiere, but I can't say anything yet because they've not publicly announced that. So actually, I'm already saying quite business. I probably shouldn't say too much more.
Nope, stop right there.
Yes, I'm so sorry.
No, not at all.
It's annoying that we can't say anything. I want to talk about more, but let's wait after the third season premieres. We can talk about. I can talk about much more freely. But yes, I do. There are some other things that I can mention that are not strictly related to. Well, no, they're not strictly related to Love of the Spectrum. They do have to do with the autistic experience, however.
Let's talk about it.
I am going to be attending a fundraiser for autism awareness in January. Yes, I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Well, congratulations.
Yes, the band with whom I recorded my music video are the ones who are organizing the event, actually. So that's pretty, or at least they're involved in it. I don't know if they're organizing the event, but they are involved in the event, so that's pretty cool. Yes. So I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Well, let's talk about that because On this show, the first time I had you on the show, just refresh me, it was Heavy Metal Queen, I think was the name of
Yes,
the.
that's the name of the poem that I wrote, that which we then used the basis for a song.
Yeah, I saw the video on your Instagram. I
Good,
loved it.
good.
The song is great. The
Thank
video
you.
is great.
I hope
You're
my
over there.
voice sound okay, because I mean I know I'm not exactly Ronnie James Dio or Rob Halford or Lucio Pavarotti or anyone like that. So I gave it my best effort. I specifically asked everyone else to join in with me on the refrains, just for more power, for more variety, for more emotion. You know.
Yeah, well, whatever you did, it definitely worked. The video was fun, and it's funny that you mentioned Ryan James Dio. It did remind me of some of the old Holy Diver or Rainbow in the Dark videos with you with the sword walking around.
Yes, yes, actually, that's true. Yes, the video, yes, the video for Holy Diver is a pretty epic video. Actually, I completely did not think about that. It was completely the band's idea for the video, actually. But yes, I gladly went along with it. But we record the music first, then record the video separately. So I actually had no idea how some of this worked. I always thought that the music was recorded with the video, but no, I didn't know that the song was music recorded separately from the video in most music videos. But I guess that makes sense now. But even the recording of the song was not how I thought, because I always thought that the entire band, every member, record the song together at once, or at least maybe some bands still do it. But with this band, with the Clemency Crusaders, they actually recorded all their parts individually and combined them digitally. And they had already recorded all the instrumental sections before asking me to record the vocals. So I mean, it did save time. Yes, it saved time and effort and allowed us to correct images. It definitely allowed for multiple takes, but still, it doesn't feel as organic and authentic. At least that's how I see it. Because I remember hearing that Black Sabbath supposedly, according to legend, recorded their first album in its entirety in a single 13-hour session, which sounds pretty grueling, I have to admit.
Well, I'm so glad you said that because as you know, I have an interview show and I interview a lot of musicians. And very recently, I interviewed a musician. We were talking about that because each one of the band members lives in different states, so they write the song through Zoom. And I said, it doesn't have that. See, I used to be in bands years ago, and I used to love all 4 or 5 band members getting into one room and just riffing out, throwing out some lyrics, putting it together, just in the inspiration, we'd inspire each other. And I said, when you're alone in a room and sending it to somebody else, it doesn't really have that same organic, genuine feel, as you said. And so I'm with you. I prefer. It sounds maybe sound a little bit more raw, but I love that raw feeling where they're just recording
I
all at the
see.
same time. So I agree with you on that. But unfortunately, I think the way technology is, a lot of bands do record more like what you described than what used to happen.
I see. All right. Well, anyway, I just wrote a new poem and posted a video of it not too long ago. But that's not the poem I'm going to read today, because. But anyway, so as I said, yeah, I may possibly have enough to fill a whole album. I'm not certain yet, but I'd be more than happy to work with the Clemency Crusaders again. But they are already an established band. They have their own career, and I really don't want to seem as if I'm trying to ride their coattails. That wouldn't be right. I want to put together my own. I want to find my own bandmates if I can.
Well, how did they find you, or how did you find them?
Okay, let me see how. Back in May of this year, I was at a convention. You see, I have a friend, or he's like a manager. Like he makes his whole career out of helping celebrities and public figures manage like appearances and social media. That's his whole thing. He's like a social media manager type thing for celebrities and big names or whatever. So yes, I'm one of the people whom he is assisting. So he arranged for me to be a featured guest at a convention, which was pretty awesome. Then after the convention was over, we had a party afterwards, and the band was hired to play, I guess, the Clemency Crusaders. And I had just finished writing my poem, Heavy Metal Queen. I had not yet posted a video of me reading it on my Instagram account. So I decided to say, I asked the organizer of the event if I could read my poem to the audience there, and yes, he said I could, so I did. I was a little bit nervous, but I did read anyway. Everyone loved it, actually. Then, so it turns out several days later, the organizer contacted me and said that the band liked the poem so much they wanted to record a song with me. So I was thrilled. I was nervous, of course, but thrilled. So yes, we did that. So isn't that something?
That's great.
So I'm very glad that I took that chance, man. If I'd never taken that chance, it might never have happened. So yeah, I'm glad I took that chance.
And I'm thinking that's the same convention that I met you at. It was in Massachusetts.
In Natick.
Natick, yep. So, because I remember I think you hosted a party, and I wanted to go to, but for some
Oh,
reason I
I
couldn't.
guess I don't know if I'd call myself the host, but yes, did you stick around for the party after the convention or not?
Unfortunately, I couldn't because I had some plans later at night. But I did see it listed, and I was so mad because after I made plans before I found out about it. I said, "Oh, I want to go to this party," but I'm
Ah,
so glad that that band was there and you got a chance to meet them.
yes.
And
And
I
like I said,
nobody would ever suspect you of riding their coattails.
oh
I
yes,
said, you're definitely giving them a huge boost with your
good.
name on there
Yes,
and your
I made
post. So,
sure I was absolutely I made absolutely certain to credit them to make it. I was absolutely certain when I posted the video plus whenever people talked about it, I made absolutely certain to mention the Clemency Crusaders and recommend that everyone try to follow them or whatever. So yes, I made sure to mention them and give them their credit. But let me see. Oh, so there's that. And let's see. In the month of February, I shall be speaking at a school district in New York about my life with autism and my experience on Love on the Spectrum. Very excited about that as well.
but this
Yes, so
show
they
is
invite me.
no. Sorry to interrupt you. I was saying I love the fact of how many doors this show is open for you. It's
Yes, I know.
great.
Isn't it something? Yes, so I'm not going to reveal the name of the school or where it's located. I don't know if they're key right. They may make it out. I asked them if I could announce it on my Instagram account. They said I could, but we'll wait. Once it gets a bit closer, it's going to be sometime in February. So then let me see. In March, I'm going to another convention, or actually, this is just going to be like a signing, but this is going to be specifically about me. Actually, because the previous conventions I went, I was one of several guest stars, but actually for this event, this is specifically a meet and greet for me. Actually, it's going to be at a comic book store in New Jersey in March.
All right.
I'll make it. I already made an announcement a while back. When there's like say a week or two before the event, I'll make another announcement on my Instagram account. Don't worry.
I live in Connecticut, so you probably will see me in New Jersey because it's only about a 2 hour drive. So,
Oh, not too bad, not too bad. Yes, I'm driving down there on Friday because it's going to be a much longer drive than that for me. But yes, could I specifically asked my friend by the name of Dominic if the convention could be on Saturday, and yes, he said that was fine. So we'll drive down Friday. The convention's on Saturday. We'll drive back on Sunday. That's good. Yes, and then also in March, I found out that well, hold on. I've been planning. I'm hoping to visit Connor, Kalen, and Tanner, who live in the southern states. They live in Georgia and North Carolina, or no,
mhm.
South Carolina. Sorry, but anyway, so I'm hoping to visit them at some point. We haven't worked out a date yet, but it turns out that Kalen and Danny are going to be guest speakers or featured speakers at a convention or a conference at a conference for autism awareness in South Carolina in March. So I am going to attempt. I'm hoping that I can plan my visit. Not on the actual day of said conference, but on one of the closest weekends, so I can meet both of them. I met Danny in Los Angeles, but of course, it'd be nice to meet her again. Plus, I have met Connor as well, but again, would like to meet you again. I've never met Kayla or Tanner, so it'd be great. I'll be able to meet all four of them if I time it right. But the conference is on March 4th and 5th, but those are a Tuesday and Wednesday. So no, I can't. I need to minimize the number of days I take off. I'm trying to take off no more than 2 days from work if I can help it. But that's for me. I don't need to bother you with the details. That's for me to worry about. But we'll see. Hopefully I'll get the details arranged soon.
Well, no, I was just going to say it's great that you have a job where they like you and they know you and they're giving you this time where you can
Yes.
go and do extracurricular activities. So
Yes.
I love the fact that you're still keeping in touch with everybody or most people from the cast,
Yes.
your friends, because I know, I'm sure everybody knows that most of you live in different states, so your part's
Yes.
being filmed over in the New England area. There, some parts are being filmed down south. But the fact that you're all still getting together, keeping in touch,
Yes.
and your
Definitely.
friends off the screen as well is great.
Yes, true. Yes, I'm still the only one from the New England area, so it's not bad. It'd be nice. Hopefully, there'll be some other cast members from this area at some point. But yes, we'll have to. We'll have to see. So, but yes, that's good. I think that describes about all the big events I have coming up. I think so. I think I described everything at this point. So, yes, not too bad.
Well, one last thing before we get into our Christmas special. Just remember, because I know you have somebody who's in charge of the conventions for you. Ask them about Chiller in New Jersey, Parsippany,
Oh,
April.
thank you
And
for.
October.
Okay, wait. Okay, say again, please. What the name of
Yep.
the event is?
The Chiller Theater Convention.
Good. Oh, please send me a reminder about that via email, just in case I don't, so I'll remember. Yes, you can do it when we're done with this, with our conversation. But please send me an email reminder so I can ask my social media manager person about that. And
I definitely will because I know you'd be a huge hit there. It's a
yes,
great crowd, and it's all pop culture stuff, and you'd fit right in. So I definitely will do that. So that being said, James, I'm so happy for all of your success. I'm so happy that
thank
you have
you.
so many things going on, and what we're going to talk about this time, even though it's December 28th right now as we're filming this, it's never too late to have a Christmas special. And James, you and I have very similar tastes when it comes to movies and even in music. So I want to get your take on some of the Christmas stuff that you and I both grew up on, because I know there's a little bit of an age difference. I'm 56, you're in your 30s, so there's 20 years. So I know growing up, one of my all-time favorites was 1966, Boris Karloff, Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Yes, yes. It's still a classic to this day. Of course, that was my first exposure to the Grinch. Although, no, maybe I read the book first. I honestly don't remember whether I saw the TV special or read the book first. But yes, absolutely a classic, no question about it. Boris Karloff is amazing as a Grinch, and Thurl Ravenscroft is excellent at doing the singing voice. That's the song "You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch" is still a classic to this day. Excellent, absolutely a wonderful story indeed. Definitely, definitely. So. What was it? I was I was actually thinking. I even made a video about this, about this not too long ago. But you'll notice he's called the Grinch. That suggests that the word Grinch may be a title or a nickname, not that it's his actual name. So, I mean, I never really thought about it too much until I obtained there was a book of posthumous publications by Dr. Seuss was released not too long ago called Horton and the Quagga Bug and Other Lost Stories. These are stories that Dr. Seuss published in various literary magazines or whatever, but they never were collected into a proper volume until recently. And one of the stories in that volume is called The Hubbub and the Grinch. So when I saw that, naturally I was intrigued, but turns out that the character, the Grinch in that story, is a completely different character from the Grinch from How the Grinch Stole Christmas. No connection at all. So that story was first published in a literary magazine in 1955, 2 years before How the Grinch Stole Christmas. So in that story, the Grinch in question is like a fast-talking con artist. Basically, he tries to like swindle the hubbub out of something. I read it just once. I'll have to read it again at some point, but very interesting that. So Dr. Seuss used the word Grinch before the very famous instance of the Grinch. And although the story says a hubbub was lying around, it says a Grinch walked up to her, saying so interesting. So that implies that in the world of Dr. Seuss, there's more than one Grinch or whatever. So, but then again, even deeper down the rabbit hole now is that. So there was another book. There was a book by Dr. Seuss called Scrambled Eggs Super, which sadly has been withdrawn from publication, so it wasn't easy to find a copy. I had to do some pretty deep digging to find a copy, thank God, which I do have. And so in the book Scrambled Egg Super, the main character, whose name I think is Stephen T. Hooper, wishes to collect eggs from exotic and rare birds around the world to make the ultimate scrambled eggs or something like that. But anyway, in that, of course, all the birds have fantastic whimsical names as befitting of Dr. Seuss, mind you, but one of the birds in question is called a beagle-beaked, bald-headed Grinch. So now, never mind, of course, the fact that beagles don't have beaks, but the bird in question has a very surly, dour, sour expression on its face. So that book was first published in 1954. So that is the earliest instance of Dr. Seuss using the word Grinch. But so the fact that Dr. Seuss used the word Grinch 3 times is interesting. But so yeah, we can presume that the famous Grinch, or How the Grinch Stole Christmas, is named in honor of that bird because of his sour, misanthropic disposition. Like how sometimes we'll say someone's you're stubborn as a mule, or like you're sly as a fox, etc. But actually, it turns out I can't remember how I did some even digger deeping. So Dr. Seuss never explicitly said, but it's a pretty safe presumption that Dr. Seuss based the word Grinch on the French word grinchot, which means grumpy or grouchy. So yeah, so grinchot is a real French word, and it's quite possible that's where Dr. Seuss got the word Grinch.
I have to
Isn't
say,
that something?
No, I was gonna say every time I do a show with you, I learn so much.
But as far as I'm aware, the word Lorax is completely an original word that Darzus coined. But again, you notice he's called the Lorax, which
Yes.
again suggests it's a title, not his name. But oh yeah, and as long as you're with the Lorax, mind you, I saw, of course, I saw the 20-minute TV special from 60s or 70s, or whatever. But I also, I just out of curiosity, I decided to watch the recent film from Illumination Pictures, and oh, it wasn't so good. They had to add, very little of it was actually based off the book, mind you, because the book is very short. Even for the TV, the half-hour TV special, they had to add like some extra dialogue and songs to fill the time. So Dr. Seuss's works are meant to be short; they're not meant to be feature-length films. But anyway, the reason I brought up is because in that film, Onceler is the main antagonist is the Onceler, and that's his given name. But in the original book heavily implies, doesn't outright say, but it heavily implies that Onceler is either a title or a surname, not his given name. And mind you, in the book we never see the Onceler's face, and that's deliberate. In the movie we see his face, but anyway, and I have not seen the Benedict Cumberbatch Grinch because I couldn't bother. After I saw the Lorax, I thought no, all these other adaptations of Dr. Seuss are probably butchering everything that he stood for. But I did see the Jim Carrey Grinch, and it was okay, but still nothing holds a candle to the old Boris Karloff except no substitutes. But I mean, Jim Carrey certainly gave us all. I mean, Jim Carrey's an amazing actor. He gave it his all. I don't want to think he did anything wrong. Like sometimes you have good actors in a bad movie and they ham it up because they know how much the movie sucks or whatever. Like Raul Julia in Street Fighter. Like the whole movie was a travesty, but Raul Julia hammed it up like there was no tomorrow, and he was easy the best thing about that movie. Or like Christopher Lee, like they're like I haven't seen the Wicker Man. I heard it wasn't particular. I saw the Nicolas Cage Wicker Man. I need to see the original, but there have been a few movies like Christopher Lee mentioned. I can't remember what his exact words were. Christopher Lee said it's inevitable that an actor is going to have to be in some bad films, so you got to do the best. You have to do the best you can. So Christopher Lee, I mean, he's one of the greatest actors who ever lived. So
Yep.
I forget what, but yeah, there were some films that he was in where he was the soul saving grace of those films. But yeah, so Jim Carrey, like I don't know, the Grinch, the 2000 Grinch with Jim Carrey, it was just it was like bright and colored and fast paced and whatever. But as I said, Jim Carrey gave his all. He totally chewed the scenery and owned that. But the rest of the movie was pretty much a drag and forgettable outside Jim Carrey's performance. So
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because when I first saw that, I said exactly the same thing. I think I saw it maybe once not too long ago. I said maybe it's not as bad as I thought, but I agree with you. Dr. Seuss should be 30-minute increments short, and all these movie adaptations, they drag it out, and half of it has nothing to do with it, and they're just using filler. But I will say with Jim Carrey, what killed him doing the movie was the contact lenses because he was in so much pain. They brought somebody that is in there to teach Navy SEALs to be able to go through torture and to talk to him about wearing those contact lenses.
oh
Like the
yeah.
Grinch.
Oh, we could spend a whole episode talking about movie makeup. I don't think we have the time right now, but
Yeah.
yeah, like Boris Karloff's makeup for Frankenstein was pretty hellish. So yeah, but we can talk about movie makeup in a future episode. Oh, like also like there were two other Grinch. I mean the Grinch. Let me see now. Well, let's just one more quick thing about the Grinch. Then we can move
Yeah.
on to something else. One more brief thing about the Grinch. So because of how popular how the Grinch Stole Christmas was, the original '67 or '66 version, they made two more TV specials that were originals, not based off any books by Dr. Seuss, but Dr. Seuss was involved with them, so we can consider them canon, or they're genuinely authentically Seuss because he was involved in them. But there was Halloween is Grinch and the Grinch is the Cat in the Hat. Those are both really good. We can talk about that some other time, but those are not everyone remembers those, but they're every bit as good as How the Grinch Stole Christmas. So
Oh, yeah. To me, How the Grinch Stole Christmas 1966, Boris Karloff will always be the best.
yes,
I will say
no
that
question.
Jim Carrey won, as you mentioned. Jim Carrey was phenomenal as the Grinch. He did everything he could. But there's also one other Grinch I wanted your opinion on. I think it came out in 2018. To me, I didn't think it was bad, but it wasn't special. It was just like,
Oh,
okay,
are
it's
you
another
referring to the
cartoon.
CGI one from Illumination Pictures with
Yeah.
Benedict Cumberbatch as the Grinch? I have not yet seen that one. I don't know if I'm going to. I'll have to see because I don't know. maybe it'll have some good songs in it. That was actually one of the reasons I chose to watch the Illumination, the CGI Lorax, because I heard that some of the songs in that one were pretty good. So the songs were pretty good. The rest of the plot was kind of a yawn, was kind of a drag. But maybe there'll be some good songs in the 2018 Grinch. I'll watch it at some point. Maybe, I don't know, but so I can't say anything because I haven't seen it yet. But the original book by Dr. Seuss is mostly in black and white with some splashes of red here and there. So we actually don't know what color the Grinch is supposed to be. But yeah, I guess I'll presume it was Dr. Seuss himself who chose for him to be green. At least that's my hope. So yes.
Well, it's funny you mention that because back when I used to watch it when I was a small kid in the 70s, we TV isn't like it is now. So basically, for the first 25 minutes, all I saw was my father's back as he's trying to get the Grinch as green as he can by turning all the knobs on the TV. It's like, no, I can make the Grinch a little bit greener. Come on, just a little bit more. And it was funny. Every single year he would do the same thing. Come on, let's make the Grinch a little bit greener.
Oh.
And then by the time he's like, I got it. It was over. But
ouch.
yeah.
I was going to say, television say can automatically adjust their color and brightness levels for optimal viewing. At least that's the hope. Yes.
Yeah. No, these were definitely simpler times back when I was watching as a kid.
Yes,
So,
I'm just barely old enough to remember CRTs actually, so that's one thing I don't miss. There are many things I miss from my childhood, but I do not miss CRTs, floppy disks, VHS, or dial-up. Those are things I do not miss. So,
and you know what? I don't blame you. I don't miss any of them either. All right, so next on the list, I have a list, and if you want to add to this, go right ahead. But the Home Alone movies. I know you and I are both fans of those.
Yes, of course. Yes, the original Home Alone came out in 1990, and it is unquestionably Chris Claus. So I was born in 1987, so that was one of the might not be one of the first movies I ever watched, but it was definitely one of the earliest movies I ever watched. It probably wasn't the first. I'm sure the first Christmas movie I ever watched was The Grinch that we just discussed, but Home Alone was one of the earliest Christmas movies I watched, and yes, I still watch. It's still a favorite. I say the first two Home Alones are still some of my favorites. Say I watch both. Every year I watch those two, and I mean I practically have all the dialogue memorized, and sometimes I look every time I still notice little details I hadn't noticed before, so not too bad. Yes, so but yeah, they're classics without question. But the original Home Alone is what made Macaulay Culkin a big star. Macaulay Culkin was in a few other movies before Home Alone, but that was his big breakthrough without a question. So yes. Let me see. Yes, and it's funny. I'll keep this. We most of us here have seen Home Alone 1, Home Alone 2, but there are actually I can't believe this. There are actually 6 Home Alone movies, if you can believe that.
6.
So some people my age may remember Home Alone 3 from 1998. That one it wasn't too bad, but nothing spectacular. It's free. Then then after a while there weren't any more. Then a number of like a decade or more later, they made a fourth Home Alone movie called Home Alone Taking Back the House. I didn't bother seeing it because I'm sure it was just a cheap cash grab trying to capitalize on nostalgia. But then then they made another one called Home Alone: The Holiday Heist, and for the first time it had 2 kids rather than one, both a boy and a girl fighting off bad guys. And then after Disney acquired Fox, they made one called Home Sweet Home Alone, which again I didn't see because again there's milking a cash cow franchise at this point, so I didn't even bother. Just the first 2 are classics for a reason. We never hear about the other 4 again for a reason. Like with so many franchises, there's a reason why you only hear about certain movies. So yeah, but anyway, but Home Alone is great. I love Home Alone so much. The original movie is a classic. I mean, the plot of Home Alone is fairly implausible today because you see with the internet and cell phones, it would be difficult to imagine that you would lose contact with your child, so, but, plus, of course, trying to get through security. I mean, after September 11th, of course, the security is much stricter, so they probably would have missed the plane, had to adjourn back home, so, yeah, but anyway, but yeah, so still pretty good, but you'll notice in the 2 Home Alone movies, Kevin's family never realized he tangled with 2 bad guys, but he cleans up the house, the first one, and the second one, we never see him clean up his aunt and uncle's apartment kids in the second one, but they'll probably just presume that somebody broke in, which did technically happen. But Kevin would they'd have no reason to presume Kevin had any involvement. So yeah, yes. But I love there are tons of little details you'll notice. Like in the first movie, you see Kevin get the firecrackers from Buzz's room or before he sets them off. Then in the second movie, we see him buying the fireworks before he sets them off. Plus, the movie. Oh, I love it with the fake movies within movies. Like notice how in the second movie when Kevin is playing Angels With Even Filthier Souls, how the concierge is getting flustered when Johnny says you've been smooching with everybody, so that implies there could be some truth to it, and like how all the other staff actually believe it, isn't that so funny?
Yeah,
But
I think I first noticed Macaulay Culkin in the movie Uncle Buck. It came out in
Oh.
1989, and I said, "This kid is hilarious. I don't know who he is."
Yes.
And then the next year, that's when, like you
Yes.
said, Home Alone came out, and he became.
I have seen Uncle Buck, but I didn't see Uncle Buck till years after I saw
Yeah.
Home Alone. Home Alone was my first exposure to Macaulay Culkin. But yes, because John Candy was in Uncle Buck. He was also in the first Home Alone. But in the Home Alone, though, Macaulay Culkin and John Candy had no scenes together. But it's funny. So the actor who plays Kevin's father, John Hurd,
Yeah.
and the actor who plays Marv, Daniel Stern, were together in a movie called Chud. It's like a campy horror movie. I saw it. Actually, the main reason I saw it was just because those two actors were in it, but they share no scenes in Home Alone. So, but yes, but what's funny is there was a fan theory that Uncle Frank hired the wet bass to rob the house because he was jealous of his brother's wealth and success. But again, there's no evidence. That's just a fan theory with no evidence to support it. But we never do learn actually what the parents do to be able to afford that massive house and have 5 kids, or have a trip to Paris then to Florida. But things were less expensive in the 90s, Ugh.
Yeah, I have to. Before we go on, though, I want to say I love CHUD. It stands for Cannibalistic Humanoid Underground Dwellers.
Yes,
Great
I know. Isn't
movie.
that great?
I love
but
that
anyway,
movie.
So we can spend a whole episode talking about Home Alone. Don't know how much time we have. Oh, wait, God, I just one thing. Home Alone is a heartwarming family story set around Christmas time. But let's be honest, the reason we all remember those movies is for the traps. Come on,
Right.
yes, but those traps would almost certainly be lethal or cause severe damage in actuality. But so yeah, people always make jokes about how sadistic Kevin is. Some people jokingly said Kevin grew up to be Jigsaw in the Saw movies. So, but in the first one, the traps may not have been lethal. They give you bad injuries, but they may not have been lethal. But in the second one, quite a few of the traps would almost certainly have been lethal, actually. So yeah, but we know it's a comedy. It's basically like the Three Stooges on a much more extreme scale.
Oh yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, I think if the movie was made now, there would be somebody complaining like, "Oh my God, that's gonna influence young kids. They can't show things like that."
Well, as I said, they made a few Home Alone movies in the last few years. Like as I said,
Yeah.
they made after Disney acquired Fox, they made one called Home Sweet Home Alone. So I haven't seen it, but I had to wonder how dangerous the traps were in that one. 'Cause, it's not Home Alone without the traps, mind you. Oh, I'm sorry. I know I keep dragging up. One more thing. So I'm
keep
surprised
going.
we never got a Home Alone the animated series in the '90s. Come on, it's the per thing. Like those traps, it's the per formula for '90s animated series. So in the '90s we got The Mask, the animated series, Ace Ventura, the animated series, Dumb and Dumber, the animated series, all based off Jim Carrey movies. Then, of course, we had. I'm sure there was a Creepy Crawlers animated series. You ever heard of Creepy Crawlers? Like you pour wax into a mold, then it turns like these. But anyway, but I'm surprised we never had a Home Alone the animated series. That would have been the perfect formula for it.
I think that would make a great cartoon. I still
Yes.
think it would, and I think the movie is just as popular now. With some
Yes.
people, even younger kids are finding it on streaming. And it's funny. I saw a play recently. It's called Love on the Rocks. And if you ever do you know the TV show Three's Company?
I've heard of it. I've never seen it. Sorry.
Okay. Well, there's a guy from Three's Company plays Larry. He plays the bartender in the play, but he has all these guests coming to his bar. His first guest is this kid named Kevin who's in charge of security, and he's trying to tell the bartender he needs better security. It's Kevin from Home Alone. The next guest is Ermy from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. The next guest is Nutcracker. The guest after that is the elf on the shelf. It's a hilarious play, but I was laughing when you said that they had Kevin playing a security guy.
Wait, Macaulay Culkin or not?
No, it was an actor playing Kevin. It was a different actor.
Oh,
Kevin
I
all
see.
grown up.
Oh, okay. I get it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a local play in Connecticut, and I love it.
Oh,
It's called
nice.
Love on the Rocks. So since I know we're on limited time, I want to go to another movie. Well, actually, not even a movie, a series that I grew up watching. All of the Rankin Bass. I love Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer,
Yes,
Year Without a Santa Claus, Little Drummer Boy. All these great classics.
definitely.
So for you, what's your favorite out of all the Rankin Bass?
That's a pretty tough question because I've seen. Okay, so when I was younger, oh god, it's probably between. I think like the ones I saw as a kid. Hold on, I saw it's probably between Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Santa Claus Coming to Town, or Frosty the Snowman. But like those three are definitely the best known of the. Those three are definitely the best known. Frosty the Snowman, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and Santa Claus Coming to Town are the three most famous of them. But it turns out they made a lot. Well, I mean, actually, no, I think quite a few people know the Year Without Santa Claus. That's the fourth most popular behind the first three, but turns out they made 18 of them altogether. I had no idea, and
Wow.
they've been reissued numerous times over the years. But we've never had a complete collection until about a year or so ago. Finally, about a year ago, they finally released the complete collection, all 18 Christmas specials, first on DVD, then on Blu-ray. So the moment it was out on Blu-ray, I bought it. I'm so glad. Yeah, there are 18 Christmas specials, I think. So, and yeah, as I said, I'd seen the first four that I just mentioned. I'd seen, but I didn't know there were so many, and it's pretty nice. I'm so glad that they're all available now. They're pretty good. Like there are a few that are traditionally animated, but most of them are stop motion puppets. So, but yeah, they're hard to say. I honestly don't. I think most likely Santa Claus Coming to Town is my favorite one out of all of them because yeah I think it's most just I think it's pretty good but no so I mean attempts to explain answer various questions about Santa Claus but I mean in reality the figure of Santa Claus is an amalgam of numerous different legends and folklore. I mean we all know he's based off the real actual person Saint Nicholas, but there's so many other things. I mean I could spend a whole episode talking about how certain aspects of the Santa Claus character came about. We don't have that much time, but this movie attempted to answer them all. But I think I don't know. I mean, the idea that like every aspect of his character would come from one adventure doesn't make sense. Like briefly, I'll keep this very short. In Indiana Jones, like the 20-minute flashback at the beginning of Indiana Jones' Last Crusade explains how he got numerous aspects of his character, but they're all the same. Like the scar on his chin, his hat, his fear of snakes, all came from and the whip all came from the same adventure.
Yeah.
I don't like that. They should have been from different adventures. Like his hat, his whip, his fear of snakes, his scar should have been from different adventures. But George Lucas probably they want to keep it nice and concise. But anyway, about Ronkin Boss now. Anyway, so they had so Frosty Returns was not made by Ronkin Boss. That's why it's not included in the
Yeah.
complete collection. But yeah, but so they're all of them were pretty good. Some were better than others, but I think there's a reason why some are better known than others. But they're all excellent. If you haven't bought the complete collection on Blu-ray, please do. And that's all. Ronkin Boss made a Halloween special called Mad Monster Party and an
Yep.
Easter special called Here Comes Peter Cully or something. Those I'm trying to find those. Like those I don't know if those are out of print. I'm gonna have to look around to find their Christmas. No, sorry, the Easter Halloween specials because those I feel I should get those. So like the Halloween specials, kind of like a spiritual predecessor to Nightmare Before Christmas in a certain sense, actually.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, my friend John, who edits this show, and he's probably watching it right now. He owned Mad Monster Party,
Oh,
and I've
good.
seen
It is available on home video.
It is. So what I'm gonna do, I'm actually going to a Christmas party over at his place tonight. So what I'm gonna do is ask him where he got it, and I'll let you know too. I'll email you that along with a Chiller Convention. So
Good. Yep.
I
Good,
saw
yeah,
it.
so anyway,
You would love it.
yeah, so also briefly, I don't want to talk Ronkin Boss for too long, but that's not
Yeah.
all they made. Like they don't exist anymore. I believe Warner Bros. Acquired them, but
Yeah.
Ronkin Boss, those are the names of the two people who made the films, but they had a very distinct style. But Ronkin Boss later they in 1977 they made an adaptation of The Hobbit. In 1980 they made an adaptation of Return of the King. So yeah, but they have as I said, they have a very distinct art style. No other animation studio had art style quite like them. But though, and plus, they made a few other animated films. They did one called Flight of Dragons, The Last Unicorn. So I just recently got The Last Unicorn 4K. So very good movie, excellent. If you haven't seen The Last Unicorn, you absolutely must. Such a good movie. I can't say enough how amazing that movie is. Plus, they actually made Thundercats too. Ronkin Boss, seriously.
Oh, they've
You
done
know that?
so much. I didn't realize they did. I knew about The Hobbit. I knew about a couple of the other ones. I didn't realize about that. So I'm going to check out The Last Unicorn. For me, my favorite, because I love the Heat Miser and I love the Snow Miser. So I love those
Year Without
songs.
Santa Claus.
Yeah, The Year Without Santa Claus is probably
Yes.
my favorite. But the thing I think that kids miss out on today, because back when you were little, definitely back when I was little, watching these specials, you had to be home at a certain night. It was on only once a year. It was an event,
Yes.
and it was
Yep.
especially now you could just like, I could watch it tomorrow. I could let
Yep.
me
No, I
stream it
get that.
later. It's not the
Yep. No.
same.
I'm just old enough that I can remember that. I remember, yes, like when I got home from work, or sorry, when I got home from school, I'd try to make sure I caught certain television, or on Saturday mornings, like I'd make sure I got up early enough on Saturdays to catch certain shows on
Yeah.
television. But yes, I mean nowadays you can watch them. We have them on either physical form or stream to watch them whenever. But yes, yes, no, again, no, I still buy as much physical media as I can. We can spend another episode talking about that. But yeah, I still like physical media just because nobody can take that from me, you see.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
no, you and I talked about that in several of the shows, and I agree with you
Yes.
because I know people that said I was streaming it or I bought it and all of a sudden it disappeared and I don't own it anymore. And I actually brought you up. I said, yeah, James buys as much as he can because then you own it and nobody can take it away and it's always you're always there for you. So I agree with you. Plus, it's also
Yes.
supporting the artist and because they're not getting any money hardly from streaming. So I'm
Yes.
all for owning that. So I definitely want to do. I didn't realize that they have the whole 19 special selection for Rankin Bass. I definitely want to check that out and buy that because I
Yep.
would love that. So
Good, good.
another one I want to talk to is probably one of the all-time most known, best Christmas stories is Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol.
Yes.
What is your favorite? There's so many versions out there. We
Yes,
have Bill
that was one
Cosby,
of the
The
most
Funny One
frequently
Scrooge. We
adapted
have
stories. Honestly, I don't know which one is my favorite. I don't think I can choose just one actually
yep.
because there's simply so many versions. But so the first version I ever saw was Mickey's Christmas Carol.
Oh
I
yeah.
still like that one. That one's only about half an hour long compared. Most of the others are around like 90 minutes or so. But Mickey's Christmas Carol is only about half hour long, but still excellent. That was made there. That's from Disney's lesser known era. That was made like the era between Sleeping Beauty and Little Mermaid is Disney's less talked about era because they were at a downturn. That was like their dark ages or whatever. But
Yep.
no, but it actually fits like the movie Mickey's Christmas Carol actually has a kind of a pretty dark tone in some ways. I mean, for a Disney movie, I think it's one of the few. It's not the only one, but it's one of the few versions of a Christmas Carol actually shows Scrooge going to hell. Actually, so it's pretty funny. But no, I like that. That was the first version I ever saw. I like that one. That they did a good job of that. Then the second version I ever saw was Muppet Christmas Carol, which is also
Yes.
an excellent one. It was again, so it's funny because that's a good one too because they had some great songs in it. First of all, plus Michael Caine is excellent as Scrooge. But Michael Caine said though when he was going, Michael Caine said when they cast him in the film, Michael Caine said he was going to play it completely straight. He wasn't even going to acknowledge that it was a Muppet film. He was going to play it absolutely straight, and he did. And that worked for the film's advantage. Like somebody, there's a lot quote floating on the internet. I don't remember who originally said, but on the internet somebody said the reason why Michael Caine and Tim Curry are so good in their respective Muppet films is because Michael Caine treats the Muppets as fellow actors. Tim Curry treats himself as a fellow Muppet. So
Ah,
it's good, yeah, because yeah, the Muppet Treasure Island is excellent. We can talk about that in another episode, but yeah, Muppet Christmas Carol is excellent because it actually does. It's a pretty good movie. I mean, outside the Muppets, a lot of it's pretty close to the book actually, but it has some pretty dark stuff. Like plus the songs are good. Like love some of the songs, especially the Marley and Marley's. That song is amazing. As for the normal version, which is highly subjective, like I think the Alistair Sim version is one of
yes.
my favorites too. Because Alistair Sim really plays him really sinister. Like the Reginald Owen one's good too. Like I like the Reginald Owen version is actually the Reginald Owen version. That's a good
Yep.
version, but
It is.
I feel like he redeems himself a little bit too easily. Ever's like I like versions where it takes time. In some versions, Scrooge redeems himself too easily. Like the Alistair Sim version, I said Alistair Sim is much more. He's much more sinister, and his redemption does not come as easy as he does in the Reginald Owen version. Then the George C. Scott version is pretty good too. That was made in the '80s. A lot of movies were pretty dark in the '80s, so the George C. Scott version was quite an excellent version too. So no, I really can't choose a single version of my favorite. But actually, I decided to watch the Jim Carrey version as well, because at first I wasn't so keen, but then I decided just to make myself watch the Jim Carrey version, the CGI version. It actually was pretty good. It wasn't that bad actually, and they added a little bit again. Like each new version adds something like in some versions like I care like sometimes the order in which the Ghost of Christmas present, brings Scrooge to visit other people, changes. Like in some versions, he visits his nephew Fred first. Wait, no, no, no. In some versions, he visits nephew Fred, then the Cratchits, then the poor homeless people. In some versions, he goes the Cratchits, Fred, then the homeless. But
Huh.
the first version is better. It's like he's going down the social ladder. I mean, going from the Cratchits up to Fred, then down to the homeless doesn't make as much sense. It makes more sense to visit Fred, then the Cratchits, then the homeless because he's getting worse each time you see.
Yeah.
So.
I have to say, I did see a lot of these versions you're talking about, and I agree with it. My all-time favorite has to be Alistair Sim. I just love
Yes.
his version. But one you didn't mention, which is another of my favorites, is Mr. Magoo's A Christmas Carol. I'm not sure
Oh,
if
I
you ever
haven't
saw
seen
that
that
one.
one. Sorry. Oh, but Ron Kin Boss me one. Among the 18 Christmas specials I mentioned is one called "The Meanest Man in Town," which is an adaptation of a Chris Carroll as well. Then, oh, I never
Oh,
saw the Patrick Stewart version or the Kelsey Grammer version, so I
yeah.
can't comment on those.
And the
Oh,
other two that, well, I'm not really, it's funny, 'cause most people get mad when I say this, but I'm not really a big Bill Murray fan, but I did like Scrooged.
I
And,
saw one. It was okay, but I mean, a modern adaptation. There's nothing wrong with a modern adaptation,
yeah.
but it was meta. I don't like the fact it was meta. It was basically like it was like a story. This story there. It was like they were self-aware that it what they were retelling a story. I didn't like that. Shouldn't have been meta. It should have
Yeah.
been a straight adaptation rather than I can't really describe it, but you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, no, I definitely do. And I'm not sure if you're a fan or know of Rich Little. He's an impressionist.
Don't know that. Don't know. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Well, no, he does. He's actually he's still around in Vegas. He's in his 90s, but mostly he was really popular in the 70s. He would do impressions of people like Johnny Carson, W.C. Fields,
Nice.
Columbo. So he did a Christmas Carol where he plays all the characters, but each character is a different actor. I mean, it was playing a different actor. So Rich Little was playing W.C. Fields as Scrooge, and the ghosts were one was Peter, him playing Peter Falk as Columbo, then Clouseau, and then they had I'm trying to think, Dean Martin. So
How is he doing? Was this live on stage or a movie?
it was an HBO special, so it was
Oh, okay,
taped.
I
It
get
was
it.
taped, but it's really good. It's funny. They have music in there, and it's just like for a lot of people now wouldn't get it because most of these characters that he plays, nobody would even know who they are because they were really popular in the 60s, 70s, sometimes
Oh,
even the 50s, like W.C. Fields and Peter Falk in the 70s for Columbo. But it's a hilarious, and I love that
nice.
one. But another one's like for a lot of TV specials had their versions of it, and one of my favorite TV shows growing up, and I just watched it very recently, was The Family Ties: A Christmas Carol. I'm not sure if you were a fan of that show with
Oh,
Michael Keaton.
I've heard of it. I know nothing about it. Sorry.
No problem, but that's another one. People were watching it like it was a situation comedy, and it was very popular for years. But they did their version of A Christmas Carol, and it was Michael J. Fox played Scrooge, and
Nice.
it was hilarious.
Cool. So yeah, I don't know. Oh, so I don't know who, but a heavy metal band recorded an album based off a Christmas Carol. Actually, seriously. So
Really?
never would have thought. I mean, there are tons of heavy metal Christmas songs. I don't know if we can talk about those today or not, but I never thought a Christmas Carol would be a good base for a heavy metal album. But seriously, that exists. But I think a heavy metal album based off the Legend of Sleepy Hollow would be a good idea too. But yeah. Oh, like Ronnie James Dio recorded a version of God rest ye merry gentlemen. He made it sound like an epic battle between good and evil. Or this was good. Rob Halford recorded a version of We Three Kings. It's amazing. I can't say enough how insanely good it is. Then Twisted Sister did their version of 12 Days of Christmas. Actually, it's pretty good. So yeah, seriously.
Which is
But
funny because I
so
love every single band you mentioned. I did not hear one of these versions. I got to check this out because I'm a huge Judas Priest fan. I'm a huge Twisted Sister fan. And I'm a huge Dio fan. Dio is one of my all-time favorites, always will
good.
be. So I'm surprised. I have to check that out.
Nice, nice. So yes, that's pretty cool. But anyway, so Christmas, I guess. Well, is there anything else to say about A Christmas Carol? But I've read the original book, of course. I don't remember. I'm so but I don't. I've read the original book once or twice, but not enough to say. I can't say which movie's closest to the book because I haven't read the book often enough to have it memorized. Plus, they're all pretty similar as it is. But sometimes they add new scenes, like the book. In the original book, we never learn what happens to Scrooge's love, Belle, after after the two of them call off their wedding. The book never reveals, but several different film adaptations reveal what happens to her later. So that's not in the original book, but I think it helps. Like the way they added way too much filler to the Hobbit, to the Peter Jackson's The Hobbit, or the CGI Dr. Seuss movies. But I have no problem adding a little bit of extra content to A Christmas Carol's fine. Or like with Jumanji or the Polar Express, they had to add some extra stuff for the movies, but that was okay. It felt natural, organic, rather than just being shoehorned in. But yeah, not too bad. So no, I cannot possibly choose just one version of A Christmas Carol as my favorite because they're all excellent in their own way. But oh, since I mentioned heavy metal Christmas songs, I guess that can lead us into talking about our next one, like Christmas horror movies.
Yes. Yes. Well, I have a couple coming up I want to talk about, but before
Good.
we do that, I want to get through some. I know you only have a couple more minutes to go, but I want to talk about one that I grew up watching and I love it. It's Jim
We could
Henson
probably
again.
spare maybe 10 or 15 more minutes, but not just. I am going to be eating dinner soon, but yeah, we could probably spare a few more minutes.
Okay, perfect. Well, I want to talk about Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas, another Jim Henson project. I love
Ooh,
that. I can never
don't
get
know
sick of
that
it. I
one.
love the music.
Hello?
Hello, can you see? Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, there must have been a brief break in connection. Sorry.
Okay, so what I was saying, have you ever seen Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas?
No, that does not sound familiar. I'm terribly sorry.
Oh, you got to check it out. It's a Jim Henson project, as I mentioned. It's
Oh, yeah, you can
Muppets.
just send that to me via email as well, then I guess.
I definitely will, and they have so many great songs in there, and it's just a great story. It's heartwarming. It's everything that you would expect from Jim Henson and his company. So definitely check that out. It was on HBO back in the 70s or maybe early 80s.
Okay.
Yep. And then one more time with the Muppets. You mentioned Muppet Christmas Carol. I loved John Denver and the Muppets. That was one record my parents would play every single Christmas morning as we're opening up our presents. John Denver and the Muppets. And they did a
Oh, I
special
had
with
no
that
idea
too.
he collaborated with them.
Yeah. They do all the Christmas songs, all the classics with Miss Piggy, Kermit.
I do know John Denver, but although I'll admit the main reason I know John Denver is because John Denver, Frank Zappa, and Dee Snider
Yes.
spoke out against the PMRC. We can dedicate a whole episode to that, but I mean, like Dee Snider and Frank Zappa were always a bit weird and anti-establishment and avant-garde and rebellious, but I guess the PMRC thought that a clean, wholesome guy like John Denver would be on their side, but no, he wasn't. So I love it. I've seen the videos on YouTube of the trials, and I love how like John Denver and Frank Zappa were wearing nice business suits, but Dee Snider walked in wearing denim pants, a leather jacket with his wild hair. But somebody on YouTube commented when he walked in, it was like the '80s walked into that room. But I love it. Like they said, like Dee Snider was the strength, Frank Zappa was the brains, and John Denver was the heart. Or it's like my brain, like body, mind, and spirit, where they were the three of them. But yeah, so it's pretty good. Yes, I personally think that video of those three speaking out against the PMRC should be required viewing in all schools. That's just my opinion, because how they were championing free speech like that.
Yeah, and I love that. And it's funny, because I brought that up not that long ago to somebody. I said, well, Frank Zappa is extremely intelligent. I loved how he went in there and he knew every law, everything. He was like, page 6, chapter 11, paragraph 5. I mean, he was definitely, but the person who made the biggest impacts, I remember seeing that live when it was going on, was John Denver. And it was exactly why you said, because he had nothing to lose. The PMRC was not going after him at all. He just said he's one of the most clean rockers there is. Take me home, country roads, Rocky Mountain High. And he had nothing to gain from going up there. He had nothing to lose from going up there. And he says, no, I'm all about free speech. People should be able to sing and say what they want. You have no right to take that away. Unfortunately, I think what happened with that's another whole special we can get into. But them putting the stickers on these albums with warnings made people want to buy it even more. So
Yeah, it's a badge of honor.
yeah, exactly. People wanted to have that sticker on there, like, please, Tipper Gore, please put a sticker on my album.
And
So-
the band Warrant, you know the band Warrant who did Cherry Pie?
Oh, yeah.
They have a song on one of their albums called Ode to Tipper Gore, which is basically just clips from their live concerts of the vocalists swearing and using vulgar language. So it's pretty funny.
I haven't seen that. I mean, I used to be a huge fan of Warrant, but I have not listened to him in a while. I got to check that one out. That's funny.
Yes. So
What,
we were talking about horror. Oh, so horror movies. Now I've
yeah.
seen a few. I did see Krampus a little while back because that was a pretty famous. Like the movie Krampus was basically how was basically what helped Westerners become aware of him, or Americans, I should say, become aware of that guy of Krampus in the first place. Well, I thought that was a pretty good movie actually. Yes, I like it very much. Others, sadly, I have not seen either Silent Night, Deadly Night, or Black Christmas. I probably should make a point of seeing both those at some point. Have I ever seen any other Christmas horror movies? I don't know if I've seen any other Christmas horror movies beyond those. I don't think Nightmare Before Christmas qualifies as a Christmas horror movie, but no, I don't know if I've seen any other Christmas horror movies. Sorry. I wish I could. I wish I'd say I'd seen some, but I'm not sure if I have.
Now, Krampus was great. I saw that. I think it came out, I want to say 2015, and
Oh,
I loved it. It was
Krampus?
really gross. And so, but the Silent Night, Deadly Night series, I have not seen probably since the 80s. They're just, to me, fun, low budget horror movies,
Ah,
and they're not really. If you don't take them seriously, you don't. If you don't look at them as like artistic merit,
ah,
and just go in there for fun, it's great. Black Christmas was a great movie for me. They're having their 50th anniversary. It came out in
whoa.
1974. I interviewed, or I'm going to be interviewing. Her name is Lynn Griffin. She was one of the main stars in that movie, and so I rewatched it recently. It stars Margot Kidder, who played Lois Lane in the original Superman with Christopher Reeve, the one that
Nice.
came out in '78. So it's just about these girls that are living in this, which is funny because I want to talk about this because it's like a dorm, and they're getting ready to leave for college, but this guy keeps harassing them on the phone. And there's two things that happens with the way the movie is filmed. It came out was directed by Bob Clark, who also did Christmas Story. He also did Porky's, and he did Children Shouldn't
Oh,
Play with Dead Things. So it's done
huh.
by that guy. And like somebody, the woman I'm going to be interviewing said when I was doing my research, she made a comment that's great. And I want to talk to her about it. She goes, he is on the opposite ends of both of two classic Christmas movies. One, you have the Christmas Story, the All-American Christmas Story, and then two, Black Christmas, which started like the way they filmed it. You could tell John Carpenter was easily influenced for Halloween, and he admitted that freely. And then also the I mean, the movie came out so long ago. I don't want to give too much. I mean, I'm sure people who are watching this probably already saw it, but where the call is coming from inside the house
Yes, I know,
when a
but
stranger calls.
because of pop cultural osmosis, I know about that. That's I think that's the movie from where that trope originated. Actually, yes, I mean it's
It is.
inevitable. Like like the twist ending of Planet of the Apes or Star Wars or
Yep.
Citizen Kane. Or it's inevitable you're going to hear. But no, they actually, speaking of which, I'm lucky enough that when I watched Star Wars the first time as a kid, I did not know the big twist. I'm so glad I did not know big twist going in, and I saw it. And actually, I saw Spaceballs before I saw the original Planet of the Apes. So sadly, I knew about the twist because remember, like, because if you're wondering why Mega Maiden Spaceballs has those spikes in her head. It was just so they could set up one more joke at the end of the movie. Seriously, but yeah. So sadly, I saw Spaceballs before I saw Planet of the Apes. So, but no. And of course, with Citizen Kane, of course, I knew the big twist there. Given how famous that movie is, there's no way I wouldn't know the big twist. But as I said, I am very lucky that I'm so glad that when I watched Star Wars the first time, I did not know the big twist in Empire Strikes Back. I'm so glad I went in. I was able to experience that. I got the full effect. So yes.
Well, I think what's funny about that is I don't even think George Lucas knew what was going to happen. Like they said, like when he were writing it, we talked
I
about
don't know
this
how.
one.
Yeah, no, it wasn't planned. I don't think it was planned. As well. I mean,
Yeah.
retroactively, there is some good foreshadowing in Episode 4, New Hope. But no, at first, the twist didn't come about. I have no idea how George Lucas came up with the idea actually. But I think it was during. I think it was the middle of filming Empire Strikes Back, and he came up with the idea. And I'm not really sure how he came with it, but it's one of the greatest twists in cinematic history. So, but the thing is, though, the original line, like to disguise the twist, what happened was that in the script, the line written in the script was Obi-Wan killed your father, which would have been a pretty good twist too, actually. But that's the line that David Prowse read. But so in order to get a genuine reaction of Mark Hamill, like George Lucas told Mark Hamill what the real line was moments, like a minute or two, just moments before they started filming. George Lucas whispered the real line to Luke to get it so we get a proper reaction, and so did who's it? So Mark Hamill, George Lucas, and James Earl Jones were the only people who knew what the real twist was until the movie came out. Actually, so although I think I remember reading somewhere that David Prowse sarcastically guessed that Darth Vader was Luke's father, but after Episode 4 came out, before Episode 5 was released. This is what I heard. I don't know for sure. I think I read that somewhere. David Prowse sarcastically made that guess. So,
That is
but
funny.
yeah. So, but
I saw that originally in the theaters when it came out in 1980, Empire
oh,
Strikes Back. So,
yes, I'm not quite that old, but
yeah. Well, I love all these different. I think one of my all-time favorite parodies of or making a joke about Star Wars is The Simpsons. They show Bart and Homer walking out of Star Wars, and Homer saying, "I can't believe Darth Vader's Luke's father," and everybody waiting in line to go into the theater. It's like, "Oh, come on! I can't
yeah,
believe you said."
I saw that one. I didn't see Holmes. I saw the clip. Yes, like I saw the clip. Yeah, and like did you ever read the Harry Potter books or not?
I have not read them, but everybody tells me I would love them. Everybody
Oh, okay.
he's a
Well,
great writer.
there's a video like after book number 6 out of 7 was released. There's a video clip online where some guy just shouts out the big twist at the end of book 6, and other people get angry. He's in his car because it's a good thing he was in his car because people started running after him angrily. So he drove away in his car pretty quickly. But if you haven't read the books, I can't say anything. But anyway, so yeah. So wait, how did we get? Oh, we were talking about Christmas horror movies, weren't we?
Yeah. So we're talking about, and I was mentioning Black Christmas, and then we talked
Oh,
about
yes.
like how that inspired so many other
Oh
movies.
yeah, that's right. Oh, there was a parody of Star Wars called Hardware Wars. It was like a
Yes.
12, 15-minute parody film called Hardware Wars. Did you ever see that one?
I have seen that, and I think it's hilarious. I love that.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Yes.
Well, maybe, one of these times we have so many different shows we could do. One
Yeah,
would
we're going
be,
to
parodies.
you're going to keep a list of we're going to keep a list of topics for future episodes.
Oh, I know, definitely. I love what we're doing. We have usually you and I have a show once a month on different topics, and that's
Nice.
definitely I'm going to add that to the list of
Oh yeah.
parodies
Oh,
of movies.
oh yeah. So what was I thinking now? I was going to what else? Oh, so I mean, are there any other Chris? I'm trying to think. I don't remember if God, other Chris horror movies.
There's
A
two
few
more I
years
want to
ago,
mention. Right. Well, go ahead.
there was a Chris horror movie with David Harbour playing Santa Claus, but I forgot
Yes.
the name of that one. Maybe it was Violent Night or something. But there are tons of Christmas horror movies. So
Yeah, that was a fun one though. That was like it was like a horror movie, but it was actually funny. And it's funny in that movie. The kid learns she's a young girl and she watches Home Alone and she gets rid of all the killers by being such a Home Alone fan. So she
oh,
does all the tricks that
interesting.
Kevin did in the Home Alone movie. She goes, and they're like, "How'd you know all this?" She goes, "I love Home Alone. I watch that
Oh,
video all the time."
how
And so
about that?
and so that's a great movie. And
Okay.
it's not a horror movie. One just came out with J.K. Simmons and The Rock called The Red One.
Red one, yes. I didn't see that. I don't know what to say. It didn't look like my thing. It just looked like it just looked like a loud, bustling action film. But it's funny. Somebody, there was a video on YouTube entitled "Red One is everything that's wrong with Hollywood currently." I haven't watched the video, but
Wow.
one of the comments says that if Red One had come out in the 90s, it would be a beloved campy cult classic today, but now it's just going to be forgotten. But what's funny is, so somebody made a post online saying that criticizing people, saying like you're always complaining about how Hollywood is recycling these superhero movies over and over again, but then when they make an original film like Red One, nobody sees it. So I don't remember what responses were to that post, but because I have to admit, what movies are I seeing? Oh my God! So I've been seeing all the Marvel and DC movies. I'm seeing just because I like Marvel and DC, but
Yeah.
there's some movies I haven't seen. I probably should have seen Everything Everywhere All at Once when it came out, but I didn't because I just can't spend money on every movie. But I am going to be seeing the remake of Nosferatu coming
Yes.
up. Yes,
I-
I don't know. We can talk about that after I see it. Have you seen it yet or not?
No, I went to go see it, and there was only one seat available in the front row. I said, I'm not going to sit there staring at the
Yeah, no
ceiling,
kidding.
so
I hate that.
I'm
But
gonna-
so it turns out the director who was directing this remake of Nosferatu, Robert Eggers, has done so. He did The Witch, The Lighthouse, The Northman, and all of them looked interesting. But I said no, I'll save my money. But of course, now that I know, so it's funny. I think I am going to watch every one of those films after now. Now that I know the same guy who did Nosferatu did those three, because I heard they were all pretty good. So I'll go back and watch those those three at some point. So sometimes that happens, Sometimes like the first album by Metallica I heard was the Black Album. Then I listened to Load and Reload. It was only after I listened to those three albums then I went back and listened to their '80s stuff. So sometimes it happens, or like I'm trying to think of what other times but I've done that a few other times too, like where I don't start paying attention until they hit it big, But anyway, wait. Speaking of which, so I'm going to a concert. I'm going to be seeing Disturbed in March coming up. So I've seen Disturbed 3 times already, but they're celebrating the 25th anniversary of their debut album. And I was in my final year of middle school when that album came out. So for me, it has great sentimental value. So if they're going to play the album in its entirety plus some of their big hits, so I can't miss that. That album has great sentimental value to me because I was in my final year of middle school when that album came out. So, or was it my first year of high school? I don't remember, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't realize that it's been that long since that album came out.
I know, I feel old. I can't believe it's been 25 years since Disturbed released their debut album. Damn. Which means, so next year will be 20 years since I graduated from high school.
Wow.
God damn it. I can't believe it's been almost 20 years since I graduated from high school. Holy shit.
I was right. So I'm trying to think so I graduated in 87. So 87, 97, 2007,
so you graduated from high school the year I was born. I was born in 1987.
That's funny. So hopefully that makes you feel a little bit better about your age.
Oh, yes. Okay. That's not too bad then, I guess.
There are two other Christmas horror movies I want to go over before we go. And but one, I'm a huge fan of the Terrifier series. And the last one is definitely a Christmas movie. The last one, Terrifier 2, was my all-time favorite of the Terrifier series. But this one was good. But he's Santa in this one, and he's dressed as Santa. And it's to me, it's over-the-top gore, but it's done in a funny way. I interviewed the producer and the writer, and he has a very similar sense of humor as you and I, and he just loves old horror movies. And so the gore isn't for gore's sake. The gore is it definitely adds to the movie, but he just loves going over the top, but in a fun way, and that's how Terrifier was. Art the Clown is I think a great new character to go along with Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, and some of the other ones.
Oh, I see. Interesting. Because it's funny you mentioned because I've been seeing now. So whenever they show like all those horror icons, I've been seeing like the Jigsaw from Saw has actually been included in a lot of these in a lot of the pantheon of horror movie villains now. Actually, I've been seeing Jigsaw included in there, so pretty cool. Plus, yes. So what's going on? But that's not too bad. Yeah, the original Saw. We have to talk about the original Saw at some point. But that was a pretty good movie. But so what I heard was that the new Terrifier movie was so violent, some people in theaters either vomiting or fainting when they saw it. So I don't know. I don't know if I want to subject myself to that.
Yeah, I don't know if that was for publicity as well too, because I mean it was gory, but to me it really wasn't that bad. But then again, I grew up watching Phantasm, Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, I Spit on Your Grave, all these different horror movies. So maybe that I'm just so desensitized by now. Yeah. So that could be. But I mean, when I was in the theater, people were laughing more than screaming. So.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So, but since you mentioned, the main villain of the Terrifier series called Art the Clown, did you ever see the horror movie Killer Clowns from Outer Space?
I love that movie. Yes. That was a great movie.
It's more like a horror comedy, that's like a horror comedy,
Oh, yeah.
So, in a future episode, we're going to have to talk about Little Shop of Horrors. Not this time, but a future episode, we have to talk about that one. So,
I'm going to add that to the list.
Is there any other Christmas stuff that we should discuss while we're here?
I'm sure there's plenty more. There's one more I want to talk about, and I saw it recently because I am a huge fan of Riff Tracks. I'm not sure if you know what that is.
Yes, of course I've heard of them. Never watched it, but I've heard of them.
Okay, Riff Tracks are the guys from Mystery Science Theater 3000, which was really popular in the 80s. Riff Tracks, to me, is funnier because I think that they're much more seasoned. The jokes are much funnier. But I saw recently, my brother and I were in Cape Cod watching it, and it was called Jack Frost, not the one with Michael Keaton, but
the one with the killer snowman. Yeah, yes, I haven't seen one. I can't believe at some point I'm gonna have to see it one because I haven't seen it, but I know Jack Frost the killer snowman. The two movies came out within a year of each other, by the way. Jack Frost and Michael Keaton, and Jack Frost the one with the killer snowman came out only a year apart, so that's pretty interesting.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, the same people who did the Jack Frost horror movie did one called Uncle Sam,
Yes.
which is when a military veteran but who is actually named Sam comes back from the dead and he starts taking vengeance. I don't know what his motivation is, but he starts killing people that he perceives as un-American. But of course, that's a pretty touchy subject, mind you. But it came out probably back like the '90s when people weren't as easy offended or whatever. But yes, so
Yep, that's another one I saw, and I forgot that it was done by the same people. So this movie was fun, and it was low budget, but the special effects were good for what it worked for what they were trying to achieve. And I saw it with Riff Tracks. Riff Tracks was like they had the commentary just making joke after joke after joke. For me, it made the movie even more funnier and better. So
nice.
it's if you watch it on your own, I think it's a good horror movie, good Christmas horror movie.
Okay.
And it's just one of those movies you just don't take seriously. Just sit back and enjoy it and just have fun with it.
Okay, cool. Oh, so as long as we're talking about that, have you ever heard of Sven Gulli? Did I already ask you about that?
Yes, I know who he is, but no, you haven't asked me about it. What about him?
Oh, well, I love Sven Gulli because you mentioned Riff Tracks. I mean, I was never big into Riff Tracks or Mystery Science Theater 2000, but I love Sven Gulli. So he's still not exactly the same, but he has a similar idea. Like he plays movies, and during commercial breaks, he offers commentary on the movies. But yeah, he's cool. So yes.
Yeah, I think my favorite growing up. I mean, obviously Elvira, but then Joe Bob Briggs. He used to
Don't know him.
He's actually has a resurgence. I don't know if you ever heard of the channel Shudder. It's a horror movie channel.
Yeah, vaguely.
Okay, but he has a show on there, and so back in the 70s and 80s, he used to do the same thing that Elvira was doing, and before that, Vampira, where they just would host these movies and they would just make fun of them. So it's very, very similar to Svengoolie.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But anyway, so James, I know you have to go. Those are the Christmas things that I thought of you.
Great.
Before we read your poem, are there any other horror movies, any other classic Christmas movies that you want to go over and talk about?
Oh my God! I'm sure. I honestly can't. Well, that's a good question. I don't know. We don't want to spend too much time, but well, actually, the 2009 Polar Express film was actually really, really good. I mean, the CGI does look a bit dated today, but I thought it was excellent. Like, I mean, the way Peter Jackson expanded The Hobbit into 3 movies was terrible, but the way Robert Zemeckis or whatever his name is, or whoever did, expanded the Polar Express into a movie was excellent. There was nothing felt wasted, no filler. It was all really good. But what else? And so I had my own idea for like a semi-adaptation of A Christmas Carol, but I can tell you about that next episode because that would be pretty cool actually. So, but yeah, we can say that for next episode. But no, not sure what else. Well, there's A Christmas Story, the classic A Christmas Story, but yeah, the one with the BB gun. But I don't know. I don't know. We don't have a lot of time. Can't really talk about that too much, mind you. But that's a classic Christmas movie too. Without a Christmas. Oh, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Yes. I think that's probably the best out of all the vacation movies. But that was a good one. I mean, obviously, not all of it holds up today, but it's still an excellent movie. Like one of my favorite scenes is when Clark Griswold sprays the grease on the ball of his pan goes zoom, zooms down the hill like a bolt of lightning. That was just hilarious. Or when he does that epically long rant about his boss, that was great. That was such a good rant. But it's funny. So again, that movie does show its age in some ways. Like was that like? I mean, the fact that he put a down payment on a swimming pool, even though he didn't know for a fact that he was getting his Christmas bonus. That's not exactly smart. Even back in the '80s, that was dumb. Today, that'd be even stupider still. Making a down payment when you're not sure you're gonna get your Christmas bonus. So yes, but that's still a classic Christmas movie without a question. Yes.
That I'm glad you mentioned that because I almost forgot to mention that because that is, like you just said, my favorite vacation movie. For European Vacation was okay. Vegas Vacation was really bad in my opinion. The original Vacation was good, but Christmas Vacation had the heart, and it was written by the same guy that did Home Alone.
Oh, really? John Hughes?
Yes, John Hughes wrote it.
Oh, we could spend a whole episode talking about John Hughes movies, but not this episode, another episode.
We have another episode. I'm going to put all the ideas you come up with, I'm going to write down, and we're going to do special once a month. Like I said, I love having you on the show at least once a month, and we'll do another special on all these different things.
Yeah, well, when February comes around, we'll have to talk about like Valentine's Day or movies, or if there are any like Valentine's Day horror movies, we'll have to see.
Oh yeah, no, there's definitely some, and I've seen a couple, so I'm gonna get that list. That'll be our next one. So right now it's December 28th, so basically January. This will come out in January, and then we'll in February we're gonna record one about the favorite Halloween, not sorry, favorite Valentine's Day horror movies and slash movies, like we did with Christmas.
Right.
So James, before you read your poem, is there anything you want to plug? I know we talked about it in the beginning. You can't really talk too much about the show, and I know you talked about all the different conventions. Is there anything besides that? Like, where can people find you? I know on Instagram.
Yes, my Instagram account, my name on Instagram is James B. Jones 87. Yes. So I kept it very short and simple. That's the year in which I was born, just in case there are any other James B. Joneses on there. So yes, I'm James B. Jones 87, and I do actually have accounts on both TikTok and YouTube now, but I actually don't have the links memorized. But so yeah, like there are people impersonating me on both of those platforms, but I do have genuine accounts on those platforms now. Yes, and as I said, the third season of the U.S. version of Love on the Spectrum will be premiering soon. We actually don't know the exact date, so thankfully I can't get in trouble. But it will be premiering sometime, hopefully early in 2025. But as I said, they haven't told me the exact date, so I do not know. But please be certain to watch it, because I'm sure you're not going to be disappointed. I'm sure you're all going to love what happens in that season. That's all I can say. I probably shouldn't even be saying that much. So,
All right. Well, I'm very excited. Cannot wait to see it. And I'm looking forward to it. So until next month, James, will you please lead us with a poem?
Yes. Okay. This actually is one of the earliest poems I ever wrote. I wrote this poem back in 2006. So this poem is now about 18, almost 19 years old. But this is a dark parody of The Night Before Christmas. And I actually think this might be one of the earliest surviving poems I have. I don't know if any poems I wrote before this one survive, if I have any surviving copies, but I hope you'll like it very much. I mean, if you need any explanation about it, if you want me to give an explanation about it after I finish reading it, you may, or unless you want to wait till the next episode for me to give an explanation about it.
Okay.
So are you ready?
I'm ready.
'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the town, hell was breaking loose. Things were falling down. The weapons were hung in the hallway with care, with hopes that their wielders soon would be there. The children lay trembling, entrapped in their beds, while nightmarish visions raced through their heads. And Mama, with a ruckus, and I, with a rattle, had just donned our armor for a long winter's battle. When out in the street there arose such a clatter, we sprang from our house to see what was the matter. Away to the fountain we flew like the lightning, treading with caution, for it was very frightening. The splatter of blood on the fresh fallen snow gave a gory effect to the objects below, when what to our terrified eyes should appear but a towering devil who filled us with fear. His rod was so great, but his staff was still greater, so we knew all at once that it must be Dispater. More vicious than wolves, his minions drew near, and he smiled and smirked and snarled with a sneer. Now slasher, now slicer, now smasher and shaker, on crasher, on crusher, on basher and breaker. Tear down the houses, break down the walls, and smash away, crash away, till everything falls. As rabbits before the fierce predators scatter, when they met with an obstacle, they'd cause it to shatter. So, back to our house, we decided to go with the army of devils and Dispater in tow. And then, with a shrieking, we heard in the square the stamping of hooves of a fiendish nightmare. as we drew forth our blades and were preparing to fight. Suddenly, Dispater emerged from the night. He was dressed in all black from his head to his toe, which sharply contrasted with the white of the snow. A powerful mace was clenched in his fist as he stepped like a warrior from out of the mist. His eyes, how they burned, his countenance scary. His skin was like iron. He was no fairy. His steel-like jaw was smooth and clean-shaven, and his long flowing hair was as black as a raven. The shaft of a spear he held tight in his grasp, and his billowing cape was clutched with a clasp. He had a gaunt face and fists made of steel. I wish this a dream, but it was all too real. He was fearsome and stern, a formidable foe, and we shook when we saw him, for we had nowhere to go. A gleam in his eye instilled us with dread and made it quite clear that we soon would be dead. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work and engaged us in combat with nary a quirk. I and my wife, we fought hard and long, but it cost us our life, for he was just too strong. He stood over our corpses, proud of his win, and he left us there dying, wearing a grin. But I heard him proclaim, ere the lights left my eye, Merry Christmas to all, and now you shall die.
All right.
Isn't that great?
I loved it.
I wrote that in my freshman year of college, actually.
That is
Seriously.
great.
Yes, I kept the original story pretty well too, actually. But yes, so if you must know, I guess I gotta give a little bit of explanation. I was big into Dungeons and Dragons at the time. I still do play Dungeons and Dragons, but okay. So the name, I mentioned a devil character named Dispater. Well, actually, the original proper pronunciation is Dispater. It's a Latin name for Pluto, god of the underworld. But the name was adapted, but into Dungeons and Dragons as the name of the ruler of the second layer of hell. There in Dungeons and Dragons, there are 9 layers of hell, and Dispater rules the second level of hell. But I changed it to Dispater only to make it easier to rhyme with. But either way, I'm sure you guys either way. But the original proper Roman pronunciation is Dispater, because pater is the word for father, and I don't know what the word dis means. But anyway, but yeah, as I said, I wrote this in my freshman year of college, actually. So yeah, but what do you think? Was that pretty good? I hope.
That was fantastic. I
Good.
loved it.
Good.
I have to
My
say,
parents were not exactly big fans of it, but everyone else I know likes it. So
yeah, no, you know what? I loved it. Every time I think that when you do a poem, I said, this is my new favorite. You do a new one, I'm like, oh my God, this is my new
Good,
favorite.
good.
So right now, I love the amount of work and the amount of preparation you have in every poem.
Good.
And you have, so the question I have for you is, because one time, I can't remember which one it was, you said you wrote a poem during lunch break. How long did that one take you?
Not long. Yeah, most of my poems, some of my poems take me a while to write, but there's one poem I wrote in like about the half an hour. But another time, I can read that I can read that to you some other time. Yeah, but because I have tons of, plus, as I said, I have tons of poems here. So
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
we'll
well, I love ending the show with one of your poems. You have an extreme talent, and I say this every show. I'm going to say it one more time. I would love to see a book of your poems. I think you do have enough, and I think even more fun. I would love to have you do the audio version, because I love the way you say it with so much passion. You say it with so
Good,
much
good.
heart and so much feeling. And I would love to be sitting in my car driving, listening to you read your
Nice.
poems. I think that it would be a huge hit. I know that it would be a big seller.
Nice.
So maybe we can. I know the reason you're more worried about the copyrights, and I don't blame you, because you want to keep the rights to your stuff. So, but maybe one day we can figure a way to work it out where you don't have to worry about that, and the whole world can purchase your poems either through audio or book.
Right.
Well, James, it's always great to have you on the show. I loved having the Never Too Late for a Christmas special.
Yes, thank
Next
you.
month we have the Valentine's Day special. I know one movie I already thought of was My Bloody Valentine. It's a great why do you say Halloween? It's a great Valentine's Day movie.
Sadly, I haven't seen it. I'll see if I can make an effort to watch it before our episode comes up. Which I presume you mean the original, not the remake, right?
Yeah, the original's always the best, in my opinion. I don't even remember the remake. It's one of those movies where, like, I guess it was okay. It's more of just like a regular horror movie,
Yes.
but the original was.
I saw the 2009 remake of Friday the 13th, and I have to be honest, it was totally forgettable,
Yeah, exactly.
unfortunately.
I always say, because when I used to do stand-up comedy, I said, I don't care if people love me, and I don't care if people hate me. I think the worst feeling would be like, I guess he was okay, because they have no memory of even me doing it. So, like,
Oh.
same thing with these movies. It's like, okay, I guess it's okay, but I really didn't make that much of an impression. I mean, most of these remakes are the same way, like sort of like with the Evil Dead remake and Friday the 13th remake. The Halloween remake, definitely. I really was not a big fan. I mean, well, actually, we talked about that. I was okay with the first one. The second one I did not like of Rob Zombie's versions, but John Carpenter's, I love the original.
Yep.
So, yeah, definitely check out the original, My Bloody Valentine. Well, I'm going to go through a list and see some more Valentine's Day horror and just regular movies. And I
Okay.
definitely look forward to having you again on the show next month. Thanks very
Great.
much.
Actually, yes. So, I never asked. So, are you doing anything special for New Year's Eve?
That I'm not sure about. I'm trying to. There's a couple things I have going on. My girlfriend has her kids here, so she was thinking of doing something with them. So I want to see if maybe there's some bands playing or something.
Nice.
I'm definitely going to be doing something. How about yourself? How are you going to be celebrating the New Year?
Yes, I'm going up to visit the Ben and Jerry's factory in Vermont. That's not all I'm doing. I'm also going I think there's like a museum and a restaurant. So yeah, that's part of what I'm doing. Yes, yes. So
Wow. So is that where they? I don't really know too much about Ben and Jerry's.
so they
That's where they
make the
first
ice
started.
cream.
Oh no, I know what it is, but is that where they first started? Was in Vermont?
I have no idea where they started, but that's where their headquarters is. That's where they make the ice cream. So that's pretty cool.
Oh wow! Well, James, I hope you have a great time. I know I won't see you before then, but I hope you have a very happy New Year.
Yes,
I'm
I
glad
hope
you had a
that
Merry
Happy
Christmas.
New Year also.
All right. So until next time, that wraps up the latest episode of Real Talk. A huge thanks goes out to James B. Jones from the hit show Love on the Spectrum for taking time out of his extremely busy schedule to be a guest on my show once again. And as always, he will be back very soon. I also need to thank editor extraordinaire John Bristol, the award-winning Element Productions, for always doing a superb job editing this show each and every week and making it available to all on YouTube. I am also extremely grateful to Rob Bull and Al Coles for all they do to make my show available on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, as well as a local cable station in Connecticut. I would also like to thank my Patreon subscribers for subscribing. This helps keep the show on the air, and for the low cost of $3 a month, you can get early access, your name in the credits, and the opportunity to submit a question for our future guest. So if you have a question for James, become a Patreon subscriber, let me know what you want to ask, and I will ask it for him. But lastly, definitely not least, I need to thank you, the viewer, for always tuning in. Enjoy your day, everyone.